Broad Street Review Podcast, Philly's online hub for arts, culture, and commentary, where art and ideas meet. I am your host, Darnell Radford. On today's podcast, we meet the founders of Fringe Philly, a free version of Fringe Festival. You got a show you want to make? Do it. Here's my interview with the founders of Fringe Philly. Welcome. I am your host, Darnell Radford, and today I am in the Emory Studio C. If you're paying attention, all these millions of spaces that we record in. Today, it is summer day. It is not as brutal as it was last week, but we are here braving this weather. And I'm here with some of the founders, organizers, creators of Fringe Philly. But we will do some quick introductions, and we'll start with Betty.
Yeah, I'm Betty J. Smithsonian. I am a comic and producer and clown and overall goof monster. And I've been doing comedy in the city for a couple years. I produce a bunch of shows, Porn Stash and Queer Bits, and a bunch of open mics. I'm one of the founders of the Bechdel Test Fest, which is the women's and non-binary comedy festival. And I'm a doer, a maker, and a creator.
A GSDer.
A GSDer. And I just got a really cool award, and I wanted to tattoo that award on my... It's an award you would put in a storefront window, and since I don't have a storefront, I'm trying to figure out how to make it on my body.
Put it on your canvas. Your body.
Oh, I was canvas. Like, where's the canvas? Okay. I might
because of all the other art you have on your canvas.
Oh, yeah. I have a bunch of... Some of it is actually... Some people don't realize I'm sober 18 and a half years, and almost all of these are sober decisions, and I wish I could say I was drunk when I got some of them because they're so dumb. I think only one was a drunk one, the star.
Well, they all look very meaningful.
Oh, thank you. They are not.
All right, and who do we have to your right?
Well, my name's Chris Davis. I'm primarily a theater actor, producer in Philadelphia. I travel to Edinburgh every year for the last 6 years, where the Free Fringe is about to occur for the month of August, and also definitely inspired the Philly Free Fringe, the model that they have over there. And I've just been producing in Philadelphia for a long time, also doing stand-up with Betty at times, and sort of variety of shows throughout the city.
Great. And if you are not familiar with Chris Davis, must be new to the community.
Yeah, maybe you're a tiny baby.
This is the go-to.
Maybe your hearing is just
go-to guy for DIY theater, I would say.
Yeah,
and probably one of the greatest resources for the Fringe circuit.
Yeah.
So, welcome back to Rep Radio,
Thank
and
you.
Betty, welcome to Rep Radio.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. So when I saw that post for Fringe Philly, I said yes. Because I thought it was a great idea when I had discovered it for myself, and I said, this is something, it makes a lot of sense. It pulls more of the community in, and it just gives more opportunity. So when this came up, we were following it closely, said we definitely want to sit and have a chat about it. So here we are.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. So
super important.
So tell us about the origins of Fringe Philly.
Yeah, this specific concept came from Sarah Nattel, who is just a force in theater and clown and the world of comedy. And she did Edinburgh last year with her show Nightmare Fuel.
Nightmare Fuel, and you can go back and listen to that one.
And she came back and was like, it's there's a bunch of free festivals that go on during that regular festival. And she said we should do something like that here. And Brad, Christian Wren, and Adrian Mackey I think we were just like having what we call a clown fringe, which is when we just get together and act like idiots. And we said, let's just do it. And we're like, let's make up a real clear mission statement and literally just announce. And I worked with, I guess we wanted to announce on July 4th to be like, this is our independence. And and it just caught fire because, just exactly what you're saying. There is no need for artists to have a million obstacles with which to be in a fringe festival. I mean, insurance and $1,000 for the venue and $500 to get in the guide, and then you're in the guide with a million other things. Plus, they're also curating a big, heavy-hitting festival, cannibalizing audience as you go.
Yeah.
So it makes a ton of sense. And I bet if we ever heard from Fringe Arts, they might even say, this makes a lot of sense too. That's how they got started.
They'll be like, well, what about our neighborhood Fringe?
Well, I did Fringe back before I even performed. When I was just a tiny little, I was a hairdresser in the city. And my girlfriend at the time, Amy, worked at Pig Iron. This is, I'm talking years ago, with their first time when they did Love Unpunished, long ago. And she had an idea for a show, I had an idea for a show, and we made it, and it cost $150 to get in, do the whole thing. And we wanted to be able to pay our performers. And I had a hair cutting fundraiser. And I remember Dan and James Sugg and Dito, they all came and got their haircut with me and helped us put on the show. I mean, it was such a community connected thing. And I didn't even perform, I just wrote it, did whatever. And it was at the CEC, we sold out all 4 nights. And I think partly because there wasn't a ton maybe of access, but it was cool. It was like a Jeff Buckley kind of crazy show. But when I think last year, maybe there was a Fringe show at the Kimmel Center that was $80. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This doesn't make any sense. Not only can no one can create local artist is going to be able to be big enough to make that venue make sense for them, and then the audience that's coming to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are.
We have enough art here.
Yeah.
That it's often tricky to be supportive of art that's traveling here, because there's so much here that is being missed out on as well. So with all the various festivals that come throughout, you do sort of drown out the fact that we have a very vibrant cultural community here, because everyone from outside of our community is trying to get into it.
Yeah. Which
makes it much harder for the artists who've worked really hard to establish themselves here to just secure a venue. And like you said, hey.
I mean, you're talking about how the festival got started to begin with, right? It was an invitation-only festival, big, giant, fancy thing. And then the local artists were like, this is some bullshit. Let's get in here and let's try to shake it loose and create a space where we could invite more artists, different kinds of artists, and maybe people who don't have access and privilege, where they can goof around for 20 extra hours a week, right? We're talking about, I want this to be the kind of festival that someone who would never think to make a show, who is an artist in their brain and their heart, they're working, 2 shift jobs and they can't afford all the different things, where we just make that, hey, you have an idea, it's a slam poetry night, we got a venue for you, come and do the thing, and we get to cultivate different kinds of perspectives. Yeah. That I just don't think that that's what, these kinds of things are reaching out to. What do you think, Chris Davis?
Tell us about, because this isn't a completely original idea. This idea is happening.
No, we actually invented free. We are the makers of free. Before us, everything cost something. Yes. We even removed emotional cost from this.
Let's talk more about where this idea originated from.
Well, I mean, I think the Free Fringe, at least the one I'm familiar with in Edinburgh, that originated from in similar circumstances where In Edinburgh, the venue shows are very expensive. They charge the artists a lot of money, and then people were like, well, we really can't do this. We're losing thousands of pounds. And so they started the Free Fringe. And there are now 2 free fringes in Edinburgh, and both have a very complicated relationship because one sort of left the other one, but they're occurring, and they allow performers like myself who are not going with a lot of money behind them. I don't have grants. I don't have like financial support besides my own work. It allows me to go and essentially become a busker for a month straight. And you'd be surprised too, because we do keep calling it free, but it's a little bit of a misnomer because the audiences that do attend these shows, they realize that they are expected often to pay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that being said, I've had plenty of friends. Like, what's great about this is that you have audiences. Sometimes someone can't pay. You know, they actually don't have that money, but they can still engage in the show. And I've met a lot of people like that who have become my friends. So it's not just about the money, but overall, people realize that yes, we're not actually doing a free show. We're just saying it's free, open for you, non-ticketed.
And the other word about free too is free for all to come in and make work.
Yeah.
Free for whatever the space is, whatever the idea is. There is no barrier of entry. And free for audience means that they're free to come and go and come in, and they don't have to lock it in. We do have events and shows that have RSVP tickets. It's not like, and everyone is encouraged to pass the hat. Free doesn't mean you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
Free means this kind of freedom of choice, freedom of expression, you know.
Free means the general barrier standing in the way of you actually sitting in the space experiencing this is removed.
Yeah. And I think, well, at the Fergie's thing, we were talking about this too, because like Chris and I are like a little bit of the same blood. Like his beard is a little bit thicker than mine. I did just shave this morning. But we can get shit done because we have this weird rejection thing that's okay to go say and ask and get a ton of no's. And we get venues and people, and we get people to do stuff we're good organizers of. And I think that quality is something that a lot of folks in our, I guess, world, it's not their top talent as much, I think. As like, you know, there's the facilitator, there's the administrator, and then there's the talent. And then there's some goof people that have a lot of the little bits. So part of this too is offering up our services and our production hats to kind of chop through those initial layers. We're going to put it on the website. We're going to get you the venues. We're going to, so that the anxiety of the artist that's like, I have to respond to an email by a certain date. That we get to remove that. That was my version of a kid throwing a tantrum. What did you think of that?
Yeah, pretty accurate.
Thank you.
A little bit more breathy, a little bit more hiccupy.
I heard a kid have a tantrum in a cafe a couple days ago, came in screaming about wanting Gatorade and water, and could just like lost their breath, like, and then the parent was so sweet and kind, was like, take a deep breath, Noah, and he's like, Gatorade.
That's not how we get what we want.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I'll say one difference I'll just say about the Edinburgh Free Fringe in here, which I think is cool, is that the website is a very powerful part of this process, and that can be accessed at freefringephilly.com. And it shows the schedule, it shows the shows, it gives you the location. In Edinburgh, that's actually what they're really bad at in terms of the Free Fringe. Mostly that's where it's more traditional in the sense we were handing out flyers, paper. That doesn't exist yet in Philly, but right now what is driving this particular Fringe really is that website. Because it just, the reach, I mean, that's what has changed. It made it have such an impact in such a short amount of time, is that people can go look and they're like, oh my God, not only does the website look good, but also you can see programming occurring constantly, and the updates are happening a lot. And that's thanks to Betty, who is running that, because that's really the heart of what this is at the moment, because right now it is just a website. We have yet to actually do anything.
Right. We have the website. We have, we're going to print a zine. And we have our individual shows. I just want to say, too, that Jim Thornton is a good friend and a supporter of the arts, and he runs a company called Inbound Found, and they're like a boutique web marketing, whatever. So he's also helping kind of create. That's why we're doing some updates today. So anyone that's involved in this is donating. There is no, wackadoo.
That was going to be one of my questions about promoting, because in Edinburgh you have the Royal Mile, and no matter what is going on, no matter what your day is like, you will happen to turn up on the Royal Mile.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do kind of park yourself there, you can reach an audience. But we don't have, we are in a city, so we do have a city center, but it's not
it's not physically shaped in that location. So the cool thing about this is that that'll
be the third year where you get City Hall involved, and then you do it there.
Yeah. The thing that I've found has happened organically is that individuals, businesses, institutions have reached out and said, how can we help? What can we do? I mean, someone in Florida is like helping with promotion. Like as people are reaching out, I mean, Painted Bride, Exile, all those theater companies, here's what we can do. We can share all your posts. We can put that here. So this is a festival that the people have got to create it. We're not in charge. So we're not like out there flyering for people. It's a DIY. Come in, we're gonna set up the tools. People like you, we need you to go out and tell your friends that this is going on. You're on it. And all your listeners, like this has to be all the power for all the people.
We're on it, right, listeners? We're on it.
Yeah. So there is no there's no this is also our first, we wrangled Chris in because I think he's the most attractive of the Philly artists. And I wanted a face that could really say, we not only make good work, we look good while doing it. So we're trying to just like wrangle the spirit of this and have everyone be able to show up and promote.
So in true Fringe fashion, graphics for the productions will be scantily clad artists, showing a lot of skin, even though the show does not show a lot of any skin at all. But
we just sex sells.
That'll be
we're
the
not,
draw. Yeah.
We're not, listen, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Well, I was looking at the lineup, and there is a production called Bits on a Bike.
Yeah.
That I think should take the opportunity to partner with a bike ride that's coming up very soon.
Oh yeah.
You mean the naked bike ride?
Yeah.
The Philly naked bike ride.
I mean, you're already on a bike.
You're already on a bike, and your actual bits would be
bits on a bike.
Exposed on your bike.
Speaking of bits on a bike,
I feel like the Philly bike ride, the naked bike ride is
August this year. I think.
Oh, did they?
It's August 24th.
So
yeah.
Well,
not sure why.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Long story, I'll tell you off camera.
I want the bits on a bike thing was actually Lisa's idea. She's like, you should just, because we go on bike rides sometimes, and I just like banter and make up history, which is really fun and silly. So we're gonna have 10 people reserve a spot, and we're gonna do a guided tour of the kind of like that new skate park and down by the art museum, and it'll be me and a couple of comics, and we'll be leading the tour, and it'll just literally be bits on a bike.
That's hilarious.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So that's one. Can you pinpoint a few other ones that stand out?
Sure.
Because I know you have a piece.
Yeah, I'll pinpoint one.
Here's the best.
The two shows I'm doing in Edinburgh, The Presented and Drunk Lion, I'll sort of be doing an encore performance in the Free Fringe, just one time.
Oh, you are bringing The Presented to Edinburgh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's happening. So that'll be like when I come back. Those will be 2 nights. I'm not even sure the other. You probably know the other shows better.
Yeah. What else is going on? So right now we have Impasta, which is Evelyn. Jenna Kurtzy just put in her piece. We've been wrangling some of the other folks. I mean, Sarah Nattel is doing a piece.
Is that the Jenna Kersey? Is that Dawn?
Yes, Dawn Phenomena. And Rebecca Ricards is coming from Virginia to do a piece. She's just such a bonkers artist. She does dance. She's headlined Bechtel Test Fest a couple times and Sketch Fest and the Blue Heaven Festival, and she just takes like incredible dance and sketch comedy and just like pushes them together in this cool thing. She's not up on the site yet. So far we got people doing things at Tattoo Moms. We got a bunch of venues reaching out.
Yeah, Tattoo Moms.
Sarah's got a piece.
Sarah's got
Does the thing.
that should be the name of her show. Sarah's got a piece.
but it's close.
Yeah.
Sarah does a thing.
I want people to
Sarah
make
knows.
art and something like, I think there's something called Andy, what is it?
It's
Candy Offman.
Offman.
Yeah, and it's this
Saw that. That was pretty
phenomenal
clever.
improviser, Erica McNichol, and she's just doing like 3 5-minute bits in the park. And that's exactly the kind of stuff and the energy we're looking for.
Mhm.
You know, she's going to do a silly, goofy routine. It's in a space where everyone can literally either show up and see or walk by and see. And that's just the spirit that we want.
Great. So, not everyone who is a contributor to the arts is as well versed as we are about
Yeah.
the community and its history, and so there might be people out there who may not clearly understand why this matters, and why it would be arguably appearing to be in competition with the other festival. So
I'm going to give
if
you
you
the
could talk a little bit
metaphor.
about the purpose of it
Yeah.
and why is there such an urgency for this right now?
You got an answer? Or you want me to go?
I do have an answer.
Sing it.
I mean, it's probably similar. I think, part of people's excitement about this festival is that, unfortunately, due to really like financial reasons, a lot of artists over the years have stopped producing in the Philly Fringe, and also probably not even just the fees, but also trying to get attendance. Is like the Philly Fringe is very competitive. They do there's a lot of marquee names. They do curate shows that get a lot more attention. So there's a lot of competition, and I think a lot of people produced and failed for many years. And once you do that, like a couple years in a row, where you're losing like over $1,000 or $2,000, which you don't have, it starts to become basically you withdraw from the festival. And so what I think is happening is that a lot of people that have really gave up participating in that time, they sort of just like they put blinders on, they just moved on. They're like, well, this is something that all of a sudden allows them to surpass that limitation that was happening. And it's also just exciting because anything new is exciting. But like that was just a problem that Fringe Arts did not address for a long time, and I think it's clearly that it was needed. So I mean, I feel like, as Bay was saying, like a lot of people are also doing the work.
Yeah.
We don't actually have to do that much work because so many people are enthusiastically lending services, trying to create things. We're working on things like starting a Philly free Fringe bar. Things like this are happening because other people want them to happen.
Yeah.
And I am actually really surprised by the reaction by a lot of people. A lot of these people worked with Fringe Arts for years,
Yeah.
and then left for various reasons.
I mean, Fergie's like that.
Yeah,
share, if you want to share that, like we were
Yeah.
at the like mixer and kind of generating some connections and doing some basic Q&A last Sunday, and yeah, Fergie was there and he was like ready to go.
yeah, who
He was-
used to run the Fringe bar for years before.
He's such a rebel.
Yeah.
and also it's like it's
That's the Philly, yo.
It's an important part of the community. It was a 2-week period where for many years artists from all over Philly would come together at these bars and hang out, and it was like a big party. The weather's awesome. We're through the summer. Like, why would anyone want that
Yeah.
not to exist
Right.
Yeah.
at this point? And it's a shame that it has not been able to survive at the Fringe Art Space. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But people want that. Like, I'm dying for that too. Like,
Yeah,
it's
me
just
too.
it's a community thing. It helps solidify all the DIY artists and get us together in one place. And it's exciting. It's like literally we get to have a 2-week festival. And like a festival should feel exciting.
Yeah.
And if it's not feeling exciting, it's becoming stagnant. That just says something is missing. Like, there has to be an energy in the air. There has to be like, oh, what show did you see? What show? Oh yeah, that show's so good. Like, that is really important. And unfortunately, that's not been a part in Philly for the last couple of years that I've participated.
Yeah, and the bigness of it, right? There's such a saturation, like you were saying, and there's so much to see. It's Oprah-whelming. It's a word that I created. There's so many things going on. You start to have insular communities that are just heads down looking at this. And the thing that super fucking pissed me off, sorry again, is when you started to see theaters, and maybe this is also part of what happens in terms of like when you can't afford it, you have like sponsors that purchase 5 or 6 or 8 slots of Fringe, and then they pitch it to their community like you have theaters in the city doing,
Yeah.
and then the best pitch they will select, and then they will pay for it, and then they will take the money, and you're like, okay, now we have such a filtered, like, we have so many different layers. There is no more community.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have just the people in that theater going to just those Fringe things in that theater. They don't even fucking know there's a bigger festival.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of watering down of the spirit of it, like, think about, like, this is kind of like Restaurant Week meets Porch Fest. That's kind of what the Free Fringe spirit is to me. If you thought about it, like, could you imagine Restaurant Week, which is, obviously people know what that is, the non-artist people. It's a couple of days where you can
They
go
pick
to
the least pricey thing on their
you
menu,
go to the fancy
and then they
restaurant.
make it a special thing.
Absolutely. Go to the fancy restaurant and you can have the Restaurant Week stuff. It's like, it also gives people who would never be able to afford that fancy stuff a space to go, and in the
An
future,
opportunity to dine in that space.
absolutely. And in the future, that person might come back and be there. So this is also about growing the fan base of artists.
Yeah.
We want you to go out there. We don't want you to spend a ton of money, but we want you to connect with audience, because without an audience, there is nothing. You have to live and die for them. So we're trying to get people to come see those shows by clearing the barrier, right? Making it in spaces where people could walk in and see you and find you.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, Free Fringe Philly lets the artist be discovered by a brand new population of people.
Yeah, that have not been attending any show.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth. Like, these people are not actually going to any show. So it's not even like poaching someone's audience at
Right.
this point. It's literally trying to get people that have not been attending things to go. And they will go. And that's the best thing about free. Again, the word free, just the same thing in Edinburgh. You say that to someone and they say, oh, okay. And they just feel like, well, I have nothing really to lose by going into this situation except maybe some of my time. But like, they will take a risk that they would not do if you say, this is $10. This is even a $5 cover, even whatever. Like, they won't take the risk. But when it's free, all of a sudden, like, their mind just opens up a little bit and they say, all right, I'll give it a shot. I don't know what this is. I'll see what this is like.
Definitely.
Yeah, Adrian said it was like similar to, similar to Be a Good Sport Fest, which I guess is something that she's familiar with, where it's like, everything is kind of secret. You're known the venue the day of. You don't know what the show is. You show up and you're just a good sport no matter what you see. So you're just in getting the person to invest in the spirit of what's happening, and then what we see is going to be.
Well, ideally, that is the way a theater goer should experience, or you know, a lover of art should experience art in all of its forms. You should say, okay, I'm going to give myself to this. I'm
open
gonna
mind, open heart.
Put everything outside on hold for a while and just give myself to this completely. But I had said in a previous interview that it does sort of break down into like three things that people, will engage in a piece of art for. They want to be entertained, or they want to be educated, or validated. It's usually like one of those things. It's like, oh, this show is talking about something I already feel for, so I want to go there and be validated in my opinion. Or this show sounds like fun, so I'm going to be engaged and entertained. Or this show is on a topic that I don't know a whole lot about, and they're not putting this up with misinformation. So if I get in there, it's going to be something I can take away from it. So. But it is hard to do that when you're just hung up on the fact that it's $40 to even tap into one of those three things. And then it sort of takes it out of it. It's like, isn't this art for the community anyway?
Right.
Like, the only reason we need the money is so that we can present it to the community. So
absolutely.
And
like, the thing I think about too with like putting this in the artist's hands is, like, I run shows in the city where I try my best to get artists of all different backgrounds, whether they're stand-up or sketch or theater, to come on stage and take a risk and swing really big. And I try to create the stakes that it's about you as an artist showing up to a space and trying something new. And the stakes are super fucking low. We're in a theater. There is no booker here. Like, I get really bored very easily, and I want artists to feel like that they can do something, take a huge risk, and it's not going to cost them $10,000 to do it.
Yeah.
Like, they get to go try stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like, outsource some of the paralyzing fear to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also part of it when we reduce the barrier.
The thing I also like about a concept like this is that the ask at the end is not always money. You know, sometimes it's, if you enjoyed yourself, we have these cool t-shirts over here, and now you get to walk out with a cool t-shirt. You know, your contribution, but you bought a cool t-shirt, and it's a t-shirt you want anyway. Or if you're a poet, you know, or something, and you have a collection of your work, and now people can take that home because they've been engaged for free for a good period of time, and it's like enough to say, oh, I do want a keepsake of this. So I always thought that was a great thing.
Yeah.
And I love when that is an option.
Yeah, I think we're afraid to share the thing that's feeling the most pleasurable for us as artists because we're afraid of placing it out there in the world and it being rejected.
Yeah.
Or we should have thought it out more. It should have had the right sound and lighting, or if the tech was running this way. And we have this like distinct terror in us that reduces all sense of play and delight because we're like, it has to look like this thing.
Yeah.
So I want this to also be, I mean, my downtown mission is I want people to say like, here's the thing that's so fun and so pleasurable, and I want to share it with everybody, and everyone's like, thanks for sharing. You know, like, here's $5 or here's a pat on the back, or hey, keep working on that. It doesn't have to be so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us how people can get involved, whether it's adding a production to the lineup or
well, it's a secret handshake.
attending.
That's the first thing. I know it says free Fringe Philly, but it does require a secret handshake. No, it's just go
Is
online.
it elaborate?
Yeah.
An elaborate handshake?
Yeah, it's like doubles, highs and lows. There's a twist.
Takes a whole lifetime to.
You know,
Yeah.
It's art, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of choreography in it.
Yeah. It's simple. Go on the website,
Stretch out
freefringephilly.com. There's a link at the top that says, I think it's going to change soon, but it will say something like submit
Okay.
your act or play with us or something
Or
like
submit
that.
your venue.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
submit your venue. If you're a person, place, or thing that wants to contribute and put your hat in the pool, we will connect you with artists who might need that hat. So
Cool.
we have volunteer stage managers, venues. If you're a space, if you got a porch, if you got a basement, and you want to be one of the list,
Here's my porch.
give us your basement porch.
Yeah, really just, I think the one step is just to reach out. Even if they use the contact form on the website, that would be enough to like get things started for them. So it's really easy. You go to freefringephilly.com and your life will change. You'll become, who knows what, who knows,
Who
right?
knows?
And at the end of your performance, the
Yeah.
most stylish hats generate the most
It's true.
contributions.
We don't listen. Hats are the new not hats.
Yes. Just bring out a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Well, I really love this concept. I love the concept of pulling together festivals. You know, we have quite a few in the city, and this energy that people tend to take from Fringe, this idea of going to like 4 or 5 shows in a day and having no problem with that, whisking across town like it's their job. You know, that energy doesn't carry throughout the rest of the year like it does during Fringe. But when there's a festival, a collection of art that you can consume, it allows us to do that again. It sort of gives us this permission that we only seem to have at the end of the summer. It's always a
Yeah.
weird thing. But so whenever there's a new festival, I like that concept.
Yeah. I've produced, like I said, I helped do Bechtel for 4 years. Before that, I did like this music comedy festival. It was the first big like undertaking I had. It was like Flannel Palooza, Chuck Coachella. And we made this big old fest, and I overspent, and I did not use the right resources, and it overall, like from the outside, it looked like it worked, but it was for the inside, it was a huge failure. There wasn't a community spirit. There was a lot of like rumbling, and you know, I was like, this isn't actually how it works. You don't come in with a machete and figure out how to make your space. I think you come in with like 2 people being like, hey, let's try to make this better, and like
Yeah.
let's circle around and see if we can kind of lift all.
Yeah. sometimes you need a few people to lay a foundation, and
Yeah.
once that foundation is laid, you open it up so that more ideas can make it a great idea.
Yeah, and I think the festival will succeed and fail with the participants. And if we have strong acts and strong shows, that will just help the festival rise. And I think that's what at least I am hoping to see, and like what I plan on being a part of. But you don't know at this point. You don't know what's going
it's
to happen.
early.
But it is early. But I feel like that will happen, hopefully naturally. And by strong acts, I just mean people that are invested and committed to their shows, like things that are not like, like intentionally sloppy is okay, but like that, there's an air of professionalism that I think is really important, especially with Free Fringe, where at times like the word free for some people be like, oh, well, that's not quality or that's not as good. Like the free sample at Trader Joe's, well, I'm not going to buy it. And I think like that's just one of those pitfalls that the whole free model has to be aware of, which is just that we are on the same level as those curated artists that are being paid thousands of dollars. And like trying to connect that, it's hard mentally because we don't have the thousands of dollars that comes with that, but that is the truth.
Yeah.
Like we actually are on the same. There is actually no difference.
Absolutely. Talent and merit, we have a ton. Brian Sanders actually just reached out and he's putting a show together for Free Fringe Philly.
Are you serious? That's awesome.
What?
Yeah. And
Wow.
he is also doing one for Fringe. And I'm like, he's
That's
like, can I do
pretty
both?
awesome.
I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the concept here isn't about cannibalizing those folks. It's about creating an energy, just like Chris said, like the more people that can come and participate in this, the more people are saying we're behind this movement.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're an artist, you have a friend who's an artist, any kind of person, you're a poet, you're a singer, you're a comic, theater, clown, whatever, submit your act.
Too much for the room at work.
Yeah, you're the
You can put
funny
up a
guy
show.
in the lunchroom.
Yes.
Yeah, and also we're available as resources. Painted Bride just reached out and has some scholarships for folks that
yay.
want to do it.
Great.
So there's
No.
definitely the names are reaching out and saying like, yo, put me on the resource list.
I thought I would love to see a cubicle play that takes place in an actual office after hours, and whoever works in that cubicle is like the life of this office.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool
I need to get
idea.
that cubicle job.
That would be super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just access to a
Right,
cubicle.
I want people to do shows in spaces that are cool and interesting, but I want there definitely to be, like, first I was like, oh, just go to like a big lobby and start your show, or get in an elevator and that's your show. I want there also to be the ability and permission for people to be able to leave. Like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be guerrilla like theater, but it can be. Bon Jovi is participating. I don't know if you know who Bon Jovi is. She's a witch, and she'll be at Rittenhouse Square at some point. I'd go see, and I'd be careful if you do.
Well, cool. So there's quite a lineup here. It looks like there's about 15 to 20 productions, at least listed in the calendar so far.
Oh yeah, Eric Jaffe,
Which is
who's
growing.
top drag queen in Philadelphia, won the award. He's participating with Sarah and Catherine at Dock Street. They're doing a musical comedy show.
Okay.
Is that Musical Madness?
That's Musical Madness. Yeah.
I do my homework.
Yeah, there you go. Dock Street's been great, and they're fucking awesome and huge supporters of like just local, homegrown kind of art.
Cool.
Whether it be poetry, they just won Best of Philly for their like they have a monthly creative night or something.
Yeah.
So those are also the kind of venues that are reaching out, saying like, hey, put us, connect us here. They're community-centric venues.
All right. So Free Fringe Philly runs the length of Fringe Arts.
Sure as heck does.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just had Fringe Arts just came in the door. Excuse
They're
me,
bursting
the
down,
Free
right?
Fringe is
Can I
in
get
here.
tickets now? I was just like, so what is that? September
5th to the
5th through the
22nd.
22nd, okay?
Yeah.
But yes, so you can go to freefringephilly.com
Yes.
for all the information. There's a calendar there. I don't know if there's a share link on that calendar. You could add it to your own calendar, but if not, you should get that. We'll get that later. But Betty, Chris, thank you for coming in and talk about it, and thank you for not just standing behind your own art, but just but being such advocates for the creative community. I think it is a big deal, and I think a lot of people feel like they are, supporting in that way, but sometimes you put on a producer's hat by necessity, because you have no other option. But, if they can learn from you, they can be better at this, and we can have more artists like this continue to shine in our community. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and we'll see you at a Fringe.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.